more people were deported under my husband and Barack Obama without killing American citizens and without putting children into detention camps than were in the first Trump term. Or
what? Oh, what a winning message, bro. Oh, my God. Oh, we are not going to make it. Barack Obama deported more people than Trump did without killing American citizens. What an incredible. That's crazy. She said Barack Obama was doing deportations the right way. I mean, actually, she did literally say that. I'm saying it.
Own that. My party has to own that. I have to own that as governor. Look, I think one of the things that's self-evident is this economy is not working for enough people. We could talk about growth, but we don't talk enough about inclusion. I think it was Plutarch who said, maybe it was 50 AD, look it up. But about over 2,000 years ago, Plutarch warned the Athenians by saying the oldest and most fatal ailment of all republics is the imbalance between the rich and the poor. Fast forward today, we're talking about the first trillionaire. I live in a state, I mean, exhibit ABC, Your Honor. And we have to address that. And we haven't.
Do we? Yo, I cannot believe this. The audacity. Hey, yo. Mister, we mustn't tax the billionaires, otherwise they'll leave the state. Are you serious right now? Are you for real? That's crazy. This is why he's a goddamn shark, okay? Oh my lordy, he's such a shark. Or as Brandon would call him, a dog-faced pony soldier. Why?
The system is broken for too many people. In my country, 10% of people own 2/3 of all the wealth. In my country, if you're 30 years old and you talk about populist movements, you talk about young folks and the nihilism that we're experiencing increasingly, at least in my country, and I think in other parts of the globe, particularly young men, which is a challenge, unique challenge, young men, the crisis of young men and boys. If you're 30 years old today, for the first time in American history, you're doing worse than your parents' generation. That's code red. So in an environment like that, you're done with the two parties. You're looking for something different. You're looking to, in the vernacular of those old enough, to scratch the old record, shake the machine. And Trump understands that. Bernie Sanders in American politics understands that as well. So how can we drive this sort of populism, the progressive values, but around the kind of results that people deserve? But we've got to own the problem. It's not good enough just to identify the problem. We've got to own the solutions at the same time to the problem.
Great.
For example, by way of talking to a governor like you, such an impressive governor who runs the 5th largest economy of the world, California, of course, and I think...
Yeah, 17 days ago, not even a month ago, wealth tax would cause California's rich to flee, Newscum warns.
Isn't endangered by this federal law, and what should we do about it, if not a wealth tax?
Yeah, H.R. 1 is a disaster. I mean, just talk about your kids and grandkids who sat on them, debt, burden, interest rates, instability. I mean, I saw the same Besant guy would say, well, the deficit's down a couple. He didn't even mention the costs of the big, beautiful bill and how that's going to impact the debt and
so
deficits.
what do we, if not?
This is about the budget reconciliation, so I don't know why he's, I don't think he's,
Not asking the richest among us to pay, what do we do?
Well, we do. California has the most progressive tax structure in the United States of America.
But there are billionaires who are sitting on equity who don't sell it
We have
and who are paying a lower
billionaires
tax rate.
that are paying those progressive taxes. We have the highest progressive tax rate in the United States of America. I long believe in that. I did sit a state of the state arguing in favor of it, and it should in many ways be a model for reforms that we need to see federally. That said, I fear the way this has been drafted. And I'm old-fashioned. I actually seek first to understand before I'm understood. Sometimes. And I was burdened by the facts. The fact is, it actually will reduce investments in education. It will reduce investments in teachers and librarians, childcare. It will reduce investments in firefighting and police. The impact of a one-time tax does not solve an ongoing structural challenge that has been exacerbated by the impacts of H.R. 1. In fact, what it will do is what the Legislative Analyst's Office said it would do, which didn't surprise any of us when they put that out. You would have a windfall one time, and then over the years, you would see a significant reduction in taxes because taxpayers will move. And that is what I fear at a state level.
Wow. Really reinventing the wheel here. Why we can't do more taxation. Why we can't do any additional taxes on the super duper wealthy. Why? They'll leave. Oh my God. I had not heard that one before. That's crazy. I could not fathom a world in which that could happen. Okay, exit tax them then. Like, this is terrifying as far as this vision goes when we're not just talking about the governor of California, but now potentially talking about the president. Okay? This is a guy with presidential ambitions. Oh, Capitol flight will take place at a time when people are demanding that the super wealthy pay their fair share in taxes to turn around and run on that. Come on, dude. Wow. Time and place. Time and place. Cannot think of a worse time and a worse place to say this. Not only is the Capitol flight totally exaggerated, the real thing that happens in the absence of like more progressive taxation or potentially a wealth tax, what ends up happening is workers leave. Workers leave. And they have been leaving. California has had an exodus of working class individuals leaving. You want to know why? Because shit is too expensive. All you're doing in this circumstance is saying like, no, we just can't do it. We just can't do it because we are held hostage by the super wealthy. The myth that Mamdani will cause New York City richest to leave. Years of research shows the same pattern. The presumption that high tax on the wealthy lead to millionaire flight is simply untrue. You want to know why it's bullshit? They already pay higher taxes in New York. And they're still in New York. They already pay higher taxes in California, as Gavin Newscum also said. And they're still in California. Because it's California. And it's ironic because what makes California so appealing and what makes New York so appealing is not just their, I don't know, it's not the fact that it's just like global finances run out of New York or California has big, beautiful beaches or whatever. Okay. It's the fact that that previous iteration of progressive taxation has caused the infrastructure to be built in these places. So it's the bravery and the courage of previous administrations, previous acts of courage and leadership that has at least created the system, the infrastructure that makes it so appealing. Is so dumb. You know who is actually being a little bit of a clash trader, and I will be interviewing him on this issue. It's hard to trust him, but it's billionaire Tom Steyer running for governor. And I am very, very excited to pick his brain. I'm a curious cat on that one. Okay? I don't really trust him because he's a billionaire at the end of the day. Let's be real, but I am very interested to see why he's running, what he's doing. That doesn't mean I'm a Steyer head. Please stop. Please. I can't deal with you. Everything you see is black and white. You're like, oh, he didn't automatically say off with your head. That must mean that you love him. That must mean that you're going to put all your support behind him. Okay? Stop. You shut me out of opportunities when I have to deal with this nonsense. Okay? Stop.
it's very important, and I think we all have to be aware that this American way of life, that what America embodies is still at the core of America. It's still in there, and that's why we have to foster the dialogue. We have to stay together. What we must not do is we must not be divided. Let's stay together. Let's stay in touch. Let's have these encounters. I think that's what we can, and best at this level, on the state level, on the subnational level, and that's why it's great to have such a panel.
And if I may pick up, I appreciate your generous words. And Trump is temporary. It's important to understand that. He'll be measured in a matter of years, not decades.
Cinna is a skinny legend. Ask Cinna out for Valentine's. Chatter, you are a whole ass freak. You know that? Take a day off.
If he were a younger man, I wouldn't necessarily say that. There's no question he would seek a third term. Unquestionable in my mind. I don't say that lightly. I can back that up. But his time of life, not his state of mind, make this a temporary moment. And that's why it's so important in the spirit, again, of this conversation, this notion of subnational relationships, stable partnerships. We are now, unfortunately, the United States, and I've never thought this happened in my lifetime, the source of more instability than any other nation in the world, the United States of America. And that's why we have to remind folks that this is not permanent. And I know there's a lot of pessimism that somehow it's irreparable. We'll never go back to our original form. And I understand that once a mind is stretched of what's possible, it never necessarily goes back to its original form. But I say it's not dead, it's dormant. You may need to sleep with one eye open. It will take time, but it's certainly not dead. And it's not representative. Again, he is an historic president, and it's important you understand this, historically unpopular. He is going to get crushed in the midterm elections. Crushed in the midterm elections. He's going to lose.
It's so funny that on the one hand, he literally correctly points out that Donald Trump would absolutely run for a third term, but then also talks about the midterm elections and then like American theoretical democracy continuing to just move along in ways that won't be destroyed by this administration. How can you have both of those thoughts at the same time? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I think he's going to try to rig it. And my fear is that it's I mean, who knows where we go from there, but I feel like you have to make it too big to rig. He's already working to rig it. You got to make it too big to rig. And the current national Democratic Party approach to this is not making it too big to rig. Okay? It's not.
Lose his authority under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose tariffs. He will lose that at the Supreme Court in a matter of months. That's been the source of most of his energy and most of his negotiating power. And by the way, the source of most of his direct dealing. The most corrupt president in American history.
Please stop criticizing Newscum. I can't take this much racism and transphobia. Dude, you know me. I am probably the most racist and the most transphobic American. If there was an Olympics, I'd probably win the gold medal. And that is precisely the reason why I am shitting on Gavin Newscum, who is the singular force that will defend trans people and black and brown people, of course, and all vulnerable populations. And that's the reason why I'm attacking him. He's an icon. He's an iconic black trans person who is homeless.
So many of the foreign policy trips have in common. Members of his family there first. Setting the tone and tenor, setting the course of the deal for the tower, the golf course, for the investments, for the crypto. Witkoff, not just Trump. Partnerships with the family. It's all there in plain sight. It's open. It's not the $400 million planes as the tithing and gifts. Billions and billions of dollars in the last year.
Dude,
it's not about policy making, it's about profit making. And the tariff capacity has been one of his principal tools for self-dealing. But the challenge is, and this is a challenge in terms of not bending the knee and standing firm and tall, not just governments and foreign leaders, but corporate leaders, universities, law firms, and the media. The imperative of standing tall. Because right now, President Xi is blushing. Crony capitalism is not free enterprise. It's not a healthy horse pulling a sturdy wagon, as Churchill once said. It's state capitalism. NVIDIA, the tithings, Intel, MP Materials, golden shares at U.S. Steel. Kiss the ring. That's not the America I grew up in. And it's not the America you just described. And God bless, we're inspired by it, as we all were.
Yeah, it's not real. It's not real free markets that brought us here, that brought us to Trump. That's the problem I have with Donald Trump. It's crazy. Yeah, he's a communist. See, that's the winning message. Donald Trump is a communist.
Hardly perfect. And so that's the imperative of this moment, to establish.
Yeah, that's why she is blushing, because he's doing state capitalism just like she is, right? Yeah, keep saying that. That's a winning message for sure. For sure.
Different relationship to this moment, and to remind people that this is temporary.
Secretary
Civilization.
Clinton, so thank you for that. And you got.
You really mean that?
Yes, I do. I do, and you got several rounds of applause there. But I'm
Boo.
really interested in the line that our discussion is having already, which is a battle within the West between conservatism and liberalism. But I don't think we would be having this discussion at all if it weren't for some of the positions.
Lock her up. Lock her up. That's what I say.
The U.S. administration has taken. And let me take one of them, which is Ukraine, which is obviously at the center of the Munich discussions of the past couple of years. And the line that the Trump administration has taken in trying to resolve the Ukraine conflict following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and its apparent thrust to accept.
I don't know if you will watch the BTC one, but this clip is making the rounds
Be
from
true,
that.
let's say here in Los Angeles, around the homeless issue. I think morally, ethically speaking, it is an atrocity that in a country this wealthy, we have people just on the streets. And we should.
Ooh! Uh-oh. Big Dog spoke out against Gav. Ain't no way. Oh, buddy. Thanks, Obama. Thanks, Obama. Oh, my God. Where's this energy? Where is this coming from? Wait a minute. The woke king hath spoken. The woke king has spoken.
Have we should insist on policies that recognize their full humanity, people who are houseless, and be able to provide them the help and resources that they need. But we should all.
Did you just say, does this guy still have motion? Are you kidding me? I mean, yes. Among liberals, Obama is basically God, dude. He's the last competent Democrat. He is literally the last competent Democrat. I'm not like glazing him when I say this. I have tremendous disagreements with him. Okay. My biggest one is the fact that he refuses to come on the broadcast, but will go on Brian Tyler Cohen.
Also recognize that the average person, doesn't want to have to navigate around a tent city in the middle of downtown.
He's right.
And that we're not going to be able to build a working majority and support for the resources that we need to help folks like that, whether it's drug treatment or temporary housing or what have you. We're not going to be able to generate support for it if we simply say, you know what, it's not their fault, and so they should be able to do whatever they want. Because
I get what he's trying to say. He's not entirely wrong on it. Like, there is this like weird liberal attitude around homelessness where it's like, just avoid them. Just like don't look in their direction or some shit. Like, it's silly. It's dumb. there is definitely there is definitely a weird attitude amongst like some on the like anarchist side too. It's not just like liberals, it's anarchists that also do this shit too. The problem is Obama's recovery from the housing market crash also led to a tremendous wave of homelessness. So something to consider there. What were you saying about anarchists? Your anarchist slander? Come on, man. You're really going to tell me that there isn't a radical tendency here? There's some of the kindest individuals that are directly working with these like mutual aid initiatives, but there's definitely like a prevailing attitude sometimes among radlibs especially where it's like, oh, like, what's the big problem? What's the big problem with like people living in the street or whatever? Like there's this attitude that doesn't seek to, liberals do this more so than anarchists, obviously. You're such a liberal, stop praising Obama. The wrong with you, most competent Democrat, also the genocider of Yemen, stop praising him. Eat this ban. The reason why I'm banning you permanently is because you lack reading comprehension. I'm not saying that I like Obama, you moron. I'm saying liberals see him as the most competent Democrat. And he is the most competent Democrat. It's true. I hate this. I can't deal with you. I seriously, I can't stand you. Why are you like this? Like your lack of critical thinking skills should not be everybody else's problem, and certainly not mine either. Y'all are so stupid.
Russia's territorial encroachment on Ukraine. And to you, I absolutely, you know, I understand, and we've had various versions of it already, your characterization of a clash between conservative and liberal values being, you know, at the heart of what's going on in the West. But in this particular one, a security issue, one that involves international law, whether countries still respect those international laws laid down after the Second World War, do you think that that brings a new rift within the West? Ukraine, the U.S.'s position. Are you talking to me? Yes, I am.
I think that the Trump administration's position toward Ukraine is disgraceful. I think the effort to force Ukraine into a surrender deal with Putin is shameful. I think the effort that Putin and Trump are making to profit off the misery and death of the Ukrainian people is a historic error and corrupt to the nth degree. And so I believe Ukraine is fighting for our democracy and our values of freedom and civilization on the front lines, losing thousands of people and having their country destroyed by one man's mania to control them. And I think Trump either doesn't understand or could care less about that suffering. So that's what I think.
And so do you think he has destroyed the West, to go to our title?
He has betrayed the West. He's betrayed human values. He's betrayed the NATO Charter, the Atlantic Charter, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. A lot of what has been done before to try...
I mean, it says you. We heard what she talked about, how she talked about Israel. And not only that, but like, oh my God, Trump is betraying the West, unlike us, where our approach to Ukraine's defense was so perfect. Yeah, the only issue is we're losing. That's it. That's it. We're losing and Russia's winning. That's literally it. And that's not even entirely in Trump's hands. Let's be real. We lost before Trump even became president. So what the f? He's betraying the West. Okay.
To make sense of how difficult it is to restrain people who want unaccountable power. And none of us in this room, including all of us on this panel, would choose to live under a regime that was so unaccountable that it could act with impunity the way that Putin does, except that's who Trump is modeling himself
I don't think
after.
we would be having this debate under that kind of regime. for sure. We will come back.
Yeah. Yeah, we want that regime just for Israel-related things, of course.
I suspect, to the conservatism and liberalism clash within the West, but thank you for that. Peter, do you agree that the Trump administration's actions on Ukraine have produced a rift in the West?
Well, first, I think you really don't like him.
You know, that is absolutely true. But I really, not only do I not like him, I don't like him because of what he's doing to the United States and the world. And I think you should take a hard look at it if you think that there is something good that will come out of it.
Peter,
what I think Trump is doing in America, I think it is reaction for something that, for some policies that really went too far from the regular people, too far from reality. So, you know, we saw the cancel culture. We saw the woke revolution.
Oh my God! Oh my God! This is what happens when you have a conversation between a liberal and a fascist. Okay. Oh, it's a woke revolution. Like, shut the up. What do you mean cancel culture? Bitch, shut up. Shut up. There is a correct assessment here. It's just like so pathetic. This man's assessment is not the correct one, okay? And the reason why he has to move the conversation away from Russia to woke culture is because he doesn't want to make the correct assessment, or he's like, I mean, I don't know.
Agree with the gender revolution, the climate alarmism.
Which gender? Women having their rights?
No, let Peter go on.
I think there are two genders. So, but some of
us
think that there is more than one.
Immediately concessions. Immediate concessions to the two genders, by the way. Oh, what about half of us? God, liberalism is so awesome. Obviously, not the time and place to have like a woke gender conversation, and Hillary's not the person to do that, but you did see liberalism in action in that very moment. Love that. First sign of pushback, and it's like, well, what about half of us? The real conversation that should be taking place right now is, how do we move on from this? It's clear, Jesus Christ, you eat so nastily. Take a week off.
More than two gender. I think there is male and female, and the rest probably is a social construct. So this is something that went too far.
But does that justify selling out the people of Ukraine who are on the front lines dying to save their freedom and their two genders, if that's what you're worried about?
Can I please finish my points? I'm sorry that it makes you nervous. I'm really sorry for that.
It makes me nervous. It makes me
but seriously, can we let Peter finish, please? Can we let Peter finish, please?
I have to say one more thing. You said that Ukraine fights for our future and for our freedom. I think first, Ukraine fights for Ukraine's future, Ukraine's freedom, and Ukraine's sovereignty and independence. So we should help them, of course, but what I see on some people in the West, they are trying to help the Ukraine. But that's another question. I don't know if Trump's administration is helping the Ukraine to stop the war. I believe that there is such an approach. I don't see any other strong geopolitical player who would be able to force Russia to stop killing the Ukrainian people and stop destroying their country. I don't see. Maybe China, but China makes nothing. I don't know if the pressure, if Trump is forcing Russia in the way that they will stop the war. I don't know. I only see that the only Americans right at the
It means China's not making any moves to stop Russia.
Moment can make it. I see the dialogue.
Do you think Europe could put more pressure on Russia, for example, by putting pressure on Turkey, by targeting the refineries of oil more, and so on?
I think Europe also makes some pressure. We release sanctions. We do what we can. but I think the Russians, they probably don't care. When I visited Ukraine, I saw really the goodwill of all people in Ukraine. They were really united and willing to stop the war. But
they're keeping fighting. They seem to be.
They also made some steps that probably a year ago no one from them would allow to say or even suggest. Now they are ready to make some steps back. Now it's ball on the Russian side, but I don't see any goodwill on their side. So
indeed, we probably are agreed on that point. We might come on though to Ukraine in a moment, because that seems to me where one of the rifts in the West is most tested. But Secretary Clinton.
Well, as perhaps one of the few people who has actually been around since the end of the Second World War, let me add my version of history to the revisionism that I hear in not just this conversation, but so many other places. It is, for me, a blessing that freedom was expanded to include, in the United States, for example, the right of black people to be treated at least better than they had been for 400 or so years. It was a culmination of freedom for women to be given their rights much more fully.
The USSR has always historically cleared the West on women's rights, by the way. Like, not even a question. I wonder how she's going to tie this back to Russia being bad, but I need you to understand it's not even close, okay?
Than they had been. It was, I think, a dramatic recognition of human dignity for gay people to be able to be treated without fear and even marry, which to me is creating a family. So, you know, I understand conservative impulses. I understand we are fighting an ideological battle that is as old as time. There are those of us who are more comfortable in a more open, tolerant world. And there are those who have their concerns about it because they worry about the impact on existing institutions like the family, community, and others. So this really...
What is this? Please explain. Russia is good on women's rights? Real question. Yes, the USSR was significantly better at women's rights than the entirety of the West. As a matter of fact, like, International Women's Day is a communist construct. I'm not talking about Russia right now. I'm not talking about modern day Russia. I'm talking about the USSR. The USSR also was like super woke on gay stuff too, and then they went back on it. But initially, it's very interesting. Like, they were unironically way, way, way more woke than like some current modern allied countries on the big gay. And then Stalin rolled it back.
Yes, migration has been a huge flashpoint. More people were deported under my husband and Barack Obama without killing American citizens and without putting children into detention camps than were in the first Trump term. Or
what? Oh, what a winning message, bro. Oh my God. Oh, we are not going to make it. Bro, Barack Obama deported more people than Trump did without killing American citizens. What an incredible statement. That's crazy. She said Barack Obama was doing deportations the right way. I mean, actually, she did literally say that. It's not even on some Ezra Klein joke shit. Unbelievable.
This first year of Trump's second term. So I think it's important to look at the facts, because very often the ideological impulse to try to protect the status quo or return making America great again in some nostalgic past that existed for white men and capitalist enterprise was not exactly open and welcoming to people who look like me and a lot of other people who are part of our national fabric. I have no argument with the necessity of
woke white feminism, baby. She literally came out of the gates being like, listen, if you don't look like me as a woman and you get deported under Obama, that's awesome. As long as they do it in a way where it doesn't bother my sensibilities, as long as I don't see it, as long as you don't like end up killing Americans in the process. She's like, the problem I have with capitalism and enterprise of that sort is that women that look like me couldn't get ahead. Shouts out to the DNC, man. This is why I say they cooked us. Like, given the way things are, it was an inevitability that America would have this fascist heel turn. Okay? But the DNC's actions in 2016 absolutely accelerated it with the proto-fascist Trump 1 and the fascist Trump 2. Oh. Short on women's rights in the USSR.
Celebrates women's suffrage with the 19th Amendment. The Soviet Union did it better and earlier, setting a standard for gender equality in politics that America lagged behind for decades. In 1917, the newly formed Soviet government granted women the right to vote and stand for office, making the Soviet Union one of the first nations to do so on such a scale. Women were legally guaranteed equal political participation alongside men. By 1936, the Soviet Constitution solidified this by guaranteeing women the right to hold office at any capacity. And they did. By the 1930s, women made up around 20% of the deputies in the Supreme Soviet, the Soviet Union's legislative body. And the Constitution states in Article 122, women in the USSR are accorded equal rights with men in all spheres of economic, state, cultural, social, and political life. And yeah, in the United States, the 19th Amendment gave some women the right to vote in 1920. But progress was slow. And by 1945, women made up only 3% of elected officials in the US federal government. A stark contrast to the Soviet Union's much larger female representation. The early commitment to gender equality in the USSR meant that women's voices were valued in shaping policies, a reflection of the Soviet goal to ensure all citizens had a role in governance. That's the dictatorship of the proletariat. The Soviet Union took significant early steps towards political equality for women, and that significantly set it apart from the United States. But sure, wear your suffragette outfits for Election Day. I have my own costume too. While the US celebrates women's suffrage with
YouTube short of comparing cartoons to black people? Oh yeah. USSR cartoons about Africa versus Western cartoons about
Africa. Are about Africa. Can you guess where they're from? Both were made in the mid-20th century. But let's take a closer look at how the United States portrayed African countries.
Completely untouched by civilization.
Now, let's take a look at how the Soviet Union did it.
To be fair, the USSR had some, racially insensitive cartoons too. Let's be real. But socialist propaganda, communist propaganda has always portraying the USSR as non-racist is crazy. No. That's not what I'm saying. They had issues with Russification, but as far as its like third worldist position, historic communist countries have always approached the global South with a lot more kindness in comparison to its examples at the same time. It's not even close. What the fuck? Where's Kai? Okay. Klav Mogzu, he's getting bullied outside.
Same subject, same century, but two very different stories.
Anyway, did you meet Avi Lewis, Naomi Klein? No, I did not. If I recall correctly, the American cartoons from the earliest 20th century and the USSR cartoon is mid-20th century. Yes, it's earlier too. What is this? The FBI post has been deleted. If you meet someone online and the relationship develops fast, they might be a scammer. Slow down and ask questions. Oh, that's funny. That's awesome.
Obama without killing American
are bragging that they're the best deporters. Dems are bragging that they're the best deporters while Blue MAGA is out here screeching for us to pledge allegiance to Newscum, or we're throwing people they brag about deporting under the bus. Yeah. Anyway, let's be real. It's the USSR was pretty woke on a lot of issues at the time in comparison to America. And China even more woke.
On the part.
Wow, Barack Obama went on Tyler Brian Cohen to basically lay a stake in being the woke Ayatollah, it seems. First, he said Gavin Newsom's attitude towards homeless encampments is disgusting. And now he's saying abolish the filibuster. Are you joking? All right, that's it. I'm texting the Pod Johns. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. What is this? What is this? He is soft launching his third term. There are things that I just don't want to reveal that I know that maybe one day you guys will find out. But this is this is interesting. Anyway, yet another Hasanabi glaze. How it felt seeing the man who's been screaming in my ear every day for the last 5 years IRL. He's taught me more than he can ever know. So proud of how far the movement has come. Hell yeah. 15,000 likes. Let's go. Wow, he actually wore a form-fitting suit and not a giant 1980s fit. Good job, Hasan. He's still going to be hot when he's old. God damn, he's the most beautiful man I've ever seen. He screamed at one of my chats one time. Okay. We're back, baby. We're back. We're freaking back. We're kind of back, dude. Self-jerk on Valentine's Day? Listen. Yes. People ask me, who is your Valentine? Okay? It's all of you. It's the working class. That is who I am committed to. Okay? That's what it is. The endless love that I have for workers all around the world. It's for you, the chatters. Okay? That's what I'm committed to. That's who I am in a committed relationship with. Next time, don't wear a scuba suit for a speech, okay? A scuba suit? Oh, yeah? Then why don't you all the workers? That's crazy. That's insane. Bro, was it tight when you were sitting on the chair? Yeah, it was tight as I mean, this is wild. I never would have expected there to be a frictionless post with like 15,000 likes. We're back, I think. Did the pants rip? No. Can I put a request for your use of my sub money? Can you go to a tailor and get yourself well-fitted suits? You look like a professional hunk, but you should definitely keep wearing them during these occasions. I have a bunch more suits that are even better fitting than that one. I have suits. I just choose not to wear them. Bonnie Blue style, you got to do us, all of us, big bro. Okay, everybody calm down. Stop being weird.
Trying to figure out, how do we form families? I'm very proud of my family. I'm proud of my 3 grandchildren. I am proud to be part of that tradition. That doesn't mean everybody has to be. That doesn't mean everyone who doesn't have children is somehow an illegitimate human being. So how do we make the case in a positive way, not a bullying and very shameful way? So this debate that's going on is driven by an effort to control people, to control who we are, how we look, who we love. And I think we need to call it for what it is.
Secretary
There is a
Clinton.
legitimate reason to have a debate about things like migration. It went too far. It's been disruptive and destabilizing, and it needs to be fixed in a humane way with secure borders that don't torture and kill people, and how we're going to have a strong family structure, because it is at the base of civilization.
Secretary Clinton, may I, so thank you for that. And you got.
You really mean that?
Yes, I do. I do, and you got several rounds of applause there. But I'm really interested in the.
Dude, I love the like the matter-of-fact European moderator, just like, yes, you've gotten quite a bit of applause breaks. It's time for others to speak as well.
Rounds of applause there, but I'm really interested in the line that our discussion is having already, which is a battle within the West between conservatism.
Yeah, she's like, hello, Ukraine, please.
And liberalism. But I don't think we would be having this discussion at all if it weren't for some of the positions the US administration has taken. And let me take one of them, which is Ukraine, which is obviously at the center of the Munich discussions of the past couple of years. And the line that the Trump administration has.
Honestly, lock her up, though, for real. Like, why haven't we? It's really messed up. Lock her up! Locker room talk. Lock her up. AOC slams Rubio's Munich speech as cultural nostalgia amid alliance debate. Okay, this is where it gets pushed in. This is where the pedal touches the metal, okay? Because this is going to be the clear-cut juxtaposition between Marco Rubio's representation of like the old way of doing business versus what AOC represents as a charting a new path forward. Let's see.
We heard this morning was, in
Sure,
truth,
you might be the kingmaker.
not too much in substance, a departure of what JD.
What? 1-7 to 116, release 212. Democratic voters? No, this is before I ever said anything about Gavin Newscum. What are you talking about? Rank and file Dems the leaders. It's time to take the gloves off. AOC plus 78. Pete Buttigieg plus 68. Gavin Newsom plus 66. Kamala Harris plus 64. Gretchen Whitmer 55. Pritzker 51, Andy Bashar 48, Joe Biden 46, Josh Shapiro 46, Hakeem Jeffries plus 40, Chuck Schumer plus 1. It's crazy. It is crazy, dude. I mean, it's just like the fact that it's like Pete Buttigieg is up here and even above Gavin is pretty wild. But the clear difference between AOC and everybody else for the Democratic base, the rank and file, shows that it's hers for the taking at this point. And Gavin has been trying so hard to appeal. Why don't you support the Iranian protests? Wait, what? No, dude. Oh God. I can't have this conversation over and over again with people who are professional misunderstanders. I want Iran to maintain dignity and sovereignty. I want all nations to have the same reality. Okay? And that comes only from the population that lives in Iran, and not necessarily the diaspora or the American government or the Israeli government. You will see what America's grand design for Iran is. They're already moving a second an aircraft carrier into the region.
Vance's arguments were last year, which is enforcing a U.S.-European alliance that is rooted in a cultural norm, a cultural nostalgia. But there was very little that was said about how that will materially benefit populations, both in the United States and in Europe.
Clean up here, I would say working class. I think we must not shy away from setting a line of demarcation between our way of politics and their way of politics. And if that actually alienates establishment Democrats, that's all the better. Clear-cut approach here would be to say working class, things like that. I think like imperialism is another word that you can add to your language, because any kind of socialist Marxist terminology, any kind of terminology that revolves around this is like going to be something that a lot of people don't want to touch. Yeah, no ABC theorist bullshit. We need politicians to keep bringing up class, like you said. I think saying working class is good. It's like I'm not super aggressive on utilizing theory focused language. I don't do that at all. I personally shy away from that in my commentary as well. Having said that, I think it's important. I think it's important to do that, especially now when you are looking to present yourself as the alternative.
Yes, I think in Secretary Rubio's remarks, he spoke greatly about the border, I think, in order to prevent speaking about the true elephant in the room, which is...
Chatter, theory-focused language to the masses who don't read is so silly. I said working class. I didn't say proletariat or bourgeoisie. I said... I say, international finance capital, international conglomerates, the owning class. These are things that you can say that are Americanized versions, or anglicized versions of these other words that are not theory laden. Okay, there's a difference.
And I do believe that when we have eras of extreme inequality, eras of where the working class is continuing to suffer, they're seeing their life erode, it becomes extremely easy for authoritarians to blame other cultures and other people.
I don't like authoritarians either as a language. I like fascists. I think fascism is a better way to communicate where we're at here.
Life erode, it becomes extremely.
But I like that she said working class here.
For authoritarian.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing that I think is like is another because authoritarian doesn't necessarily mean anything. And from a liberal perspective, when someone says authoritarian, like liberals see that as like China, everybody else, right? Like they think, oh, she means like China. It could be even. You can say even Cuba is authoritarian, right? Like that's what has been historically mentioned. No, this is not nitpick. This is not nitpick. This is very important. Language is very important, especially in this moment. I think language is incredibly important here because, once again, after yesterday's speeches, a lot of people listened to what AOC was talking about. And some people understood it as like, oh, she is taking an internationalist approach, but many more thought, oh, she's doing, and myself included, in certain instances, thought maybe she's like going back to vulgar Brandonism, right? Especially when her goal is to obviously cut away from establishment Democrats and Republicans, not using their language, not using their terminology, puts an unambiguous line in the sand at a time when that lack of ambiguity is going to work. Vulgar Brandonism, I mean, that's like a joke that I use it as a joking substitute for NATO Atlanticism, like what Biden represented after Trump won. Biden was saying, we're going to go back to business as usual. We're going to go back to to shepherding in the liberal international order, and it was an abject failure, obviously, because Russia invaded Ukraine, and then that was a huge up, and then on top of that, Israel's genocide of Gazans, of Palestinians in Gaza, that happened so close to one another that like it directly ripped apart that fabric. It directly ripped apart this like understanding that the liberal international order is gone, right? Daniel Bessner likes to reject the label fascist when describing the American right, arguing it's just liberalism. I think that's abandoning a potent word that people understand intuitively. No, when you're talking about foreign fascist movements rising up, I think fascism is the appropriate statement to use here. And the reason why I say that is because it is what that is. Liberalism is at this point losing control. And as liberalism withers away, fascism is fascism is what presents or represents control when liberalism is unstable. So I do think that maybe in the old maybe in the old ways, maybe a decade prior, sure, you could say liberalism, but I think nowadays it's appropriate to use fascism.
To blame other cultures and other people who are most vulnerable. Now, we have to always make sure that our immigration system is orderly. I think the argument that we are advancing here...
What is this video, man? Calm down.
On Greenland, I think that the president, my concern is that the president's oftentimes, as of late, the president's actions on foreign policy, and particularly his most erratic decisions, the unacceptable threatening of Greenland, happen to be tied to his domestic politics and when he feels threatened domestically. And I believe that's a relationship that...
I don't even necessarily agree with that aspect of it, too. I think there's a much larger... If you read the national security paper that came out that spelled out the Donroe Doctrine, me and Yanis Varoufakis are in agreement on this. This is like one of the areas that we have direct agreement on, which is that there is a method to this madness. The idea that this is simply a response to like domestic pressures, the Epstein files or whatever, I don't think it's correct. I think that the Trump administration, whether we want to admit it or not, whether we like what he's doing or not, and obviously we don't like what he's doing, it comes across as disruptive, but there is a driving principle behind it, okay? It's not necessarily a scale back of American imperialism around the globe, but more so a hardening of its closest territorial ambitions. It's not, they're not doing this because it's like, oh, Epstein, let me go invade Greenland. Like, I know that that's what it comes across as sometimes, but this is something that was implemented. Like, this vision is being implemented right now, but it's a vision that is a vision that was very calculated far before Trump even got into office. It's more so to scale back on some of our global ambitions in an effort to dominate the globe better, if that makes sense. Hardening our own neighborhood, our own backyard almost, and the surrounding areas, so that we can be better equipped to continue maintaining, hegemonic superpower status. Yeah, a fortress play, if you want to think about it like that,
is something that Americans see play out.
That doesn't just serve the elites and the biggest corporations, but actually focuses on working class Americans in conflict that has cost Americans trillions of...
Trump is anything but calculated. This is a mistake. To think this is a major mistake. Okay? Because this isn't Trump. This isn't just Trump. This is a grand... this is a larger vision that Trump is simply the vessel to bring about. Like, he's not... It's not Trump making these decisions. It's people around him. Trump just happens to be the guy who is overseeing the project and maybe crazy enough to follow through on the project and can hold like a cohesive... He has the power to basically hold the base together for as long as he can while they implement this vision. Heritage Foundation and all the other billionaires did not have to line up behind a convicted felon, but they did. Liberals, for some reason, like to think all these billionaires are just too scared of Trump, and that's why they want to appease him. I think they want him, and they do have a plan. Trump may be a dumbass, but the people behind him are not. Exactly. If you listen to more sober analysis from hardened fucking policy people around the globe, okay, they will tell you this. They will tell you that Donald Trump is simply enacting a somewhat different agenda than what people are used to. It's certainly a different agenda than like liberalism, like liberal NATO Atlanticism, the rule-based international order. It's different than that. It's there's a transition taking place here. Just like one of the two major liberal parties, the Republican Party, is transitioning out from being a liberal party to a post-liberal party, a fascist party.
Thousands of... We've been spending the last couple of days reassuring our friends, talking about our mutual shared interests, and that Americans back home actually want to be a force for good in the world. We don't want to be a bully. Yes, we want strength and we want peace, but we don't want to be extorting and bullying our friends. We want to be a force for good. We need a national security and foreign policy that looks like a kinetic strike against Iran often has the exact opposite response than we want, right? If the goal is to support the people of Iran in their aspiration for freedom and democracy and sovereignty, which is what they are yearning for and what they are protesting and mobilizing for right now, then we have to listen to the people of Iran. And what's very clear and what we have seen, the pattern is that when we've interfered in that recently, that has had the opposite effect, right? It actually has created a rally around the flag effect in Iran and emboldened the regime.
Wow. Jason Crow is an APAC dog. Terrible. Colorado needs better left policies, in my opinion. I mean, he's not wrong, though. He's not. When I say it, people say I'm dick riding. I'm serving the Ayatollah.
Conventional wisdom. And should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan?
Oh, yeah. Now we start playing hardball. Okay, this is the hard stuff. Now, the response to this should be, I'm not going to override pre-established precedent. America has, since Richard Nixon, recognized the People's Republic of China, and that any agreement outside of that will obviously unnecessarily agitate this major global power. And I believe in a more peaceful, in a more peaceful attitude with foreign policy going forward that revolves around mutual understanding and cooperation.
If China were to move,
I think that this is such a, I think that this is this is of course a very long-standing policy of the United States.
Oh, she did say that. Never mind. Well, or wait, I don't even know where she's going.
I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point, and we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
That's not the worst answer. She could have just as easily said something awful there. She could have been like, yeah, we're going to bomb China or some shit. Out of all the possible outcomes, it's not the worst answer. There's too many ahs and ums that show that she's not like super confident in her position because she knows it's a tricky one, and they will dominate. What they will yell about is the stumbling, for sure. It's kind of funny because, like, Brandon has literally said this, even in his feeble mind, right? Here is Chris Hedges talking to Mersheimer about how China has emerged as a primary concern. Mersheimer, as you guys know, I agree with on a lot of stuff, but he is a little bit of a... He's a little bit of a China hawk.
1983, when we get our independence, up until roughly 2017, the end of the unipolar moment, the most important.
What did Matt Duss say to my face about China? I don't remember. Okay, last question for you. By the way, it's really interesting that this is probably one of the most important interviews that I've conducted on this broadcast, and everybody yelled at me at the time. And it has unfolded in productivity in ways that you never could have comprehended. This back and forth is literally, if things go the way that a lot of people are thinking, this back and forth that I had is with probably one of the more important figures in American politics for, the next couple of years or so. You said some stuff about communism and specifically about China. I wanted to hear you, because I'm unfamiliar with your position on China. and we might be somewhat at odds on this. But I wanted to see what you currently think about modern China. Is it a danger? Is it going to be a more moderating force as a hegemonic power in the future? Is it already there? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly, a major power. It's the closest, competitor to the United States.
I feel bad I unsubbed because of this interview. I got overly emotional. Okay, well, now is your opportunity to resub, chatter. Never forget he used you as debate prep. Yeah, now is your opportunity to resubscribe to the Piker Broadcasting Service. Remember, we got wall-to-wall coverage, banger guests that become far more impactful than you could ever imagine. Sometimes it's okay to let the streamer be in the driving wheel when the streamer decides to do certain things. Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. Piker Broadcasting's subscriptions are the only way that you can continue supporting the show. Driving wheel, steering wheel. Shut up. Closed presents. Thank you for the 100 big bones. Let's go. Did you read the New York Times article on I just returned from China? Yes, it's hilarious. Another incredible lock for the Hasanabi foresight. The Piker Broadcasting Service for tomorrow's news today. That's another one. The China rise is another one. It's a clock from a million miles away. I want today's news tomorrow. Nope, you're only going to get tomorrow's news today. And sometimes it's not even just tomorrow's news. It's a long, long time out from that. Anyway, let's see what Mearsheimer has to say.
The world for the United States, strategically and economically, was Europe. Even though the Japanese attacked us at Pearl Harbor, we had a Europe first policy. Europe was the most important area of the world for us. That changed in 2017. Europe is no longer very important to the United States. This is why Trump can talk about destroying NATO. Europe just doesn't matter that much to us. Why? Because there's no Soviet Union, there's no Nazi Germany, there's no Imperial Germany. There's no threat there. The threat from our perspective is in East Asia. So for the first time in our history, we face a serious problem in East Asia. Imperial Japan was not that big a problem. China's a completely different story. This is a formidable power. Really, we've never seen anything like this. When you look at the key building blocks of military power, the size of the population, the wealth, the ability to develop sophisticated technologies, maybe better than we do. The competition today is between the United States and China, and it's in East Asia. So that's the big difference.
Okay, he didn't really say much. Never mind. Can you unban my friend Spaded? He is reformed and wants to... What? It doesn't affect you, it just affects the women who compete against trans? Why do I have to support them, lol? Sure, why not? 2023 ban. That's crazy. Let's see what kind of insanity we'll hear here.
States. My view is that strategic competition leads one place, and that's to conflict. I think adopting strategic competition as the lens through which we approach the relationship and we approach all of foreign policy is a huge mistake, and I'm against it. And two of my colleagues at CIP, Mike Brennis and Van Jackson, wrote a book earlier this year called The Rivalry Peril, which I highly recommend, which is a book-length argument for why strategic competition is the wrong approach and offers a better approach, which basically recognizes that, listen, we need to find a way to coexist with China. We have a lot of shared interests. We certainly face a lot of shared challenges, whether it's climate, pandemics, run down the list that the United States and China absolutely have to try to find a way to work together on. There's just no way around it. It'll be frustrating. It'll often fail, but we have to keep trying to do it because we're both major powers in the world. So kind of designing U.S. foreign policy around, holding China's economy down or simply defining China as an adversary to kind of America's freedom of action is not only counterproductive, it won't work, and it will also have like really negative political consequences here in the United States. It will power authoritarianism in the United States, just as the obsession with kind of Islamic terrorism did in the United States. I mean, Donald Trump himself is a consequence of our, he's a consequence of a lot of things in American politics, but one of the things was, America's global war on terror. He is part of that blowback.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we agree?
Well, I mean, I think, I do think that, yes, cooperation is an absolute necessity, and I would love for America to do that. Or even if this was shocking, yes. Like, I thought he would be much more militant, and he didn't leave a lot of room for ambiguity there. He's just straight up like, no, we got to be buddies. Like, they're a major power, we're a major power. I think, like, even strategic competition is bad. Oh my God, my dumbass got confused thinking video Haas was streaming Haas. Yeah, no, it's very good. If they were going to compete with China, they should have more interviews like this, if anything. I don't know why people would hate this kind of thing. What do you mean, dude? It's because everybody wants blood sports at the end of the day. Everybody wants blood sports. They want me to dunk on him. Hasan Reactions is one of the best ones in the React channel.